Welcome to Unleashing Our Discipleship study. It may seem like an odd place to start a capital campaign to start talking about discipleship. Most expect when they're talking about a capital campaign to be talking about budgeting and finances and sacrificial giving. However, these discussions are not fruitful unless we talk about discipleship and how our life of discipleship is grounded in Jesus Christ. If discussions are not grounded in our life of discipleship when it comes to capital campaigns, then a campaign is simply just another thing that we give to out of our own resources. Instead, at this moment, this capital campaign creates for us a unique opportunity for us to step back and re-examine our life of discipleship, to examine our lives, our assumptions, our commitments, our priorities, our passions, and more. Our study goes along with our capital campaign called Unleashing Our Potential. In terms of physics, there is potential energy and kinetic energy. You may remember this from high school. Kinetic energy is that energy of motion. If an object is on the move, it has kinetic energy. But potential energy is that stored energy that an object has. Energy that is waiting to be unleashed. In regards to financial aspect of the campaign, the debt that we owe on our building is preventing us from realizing our potential as a congregation. There is great stored energy waiting to be released among us to bless our community. To share a bit of the backstory, in the early 2000s, our church boldly envisioned a new facility where there would be space for a growing youth program, a place for a growing contemporary worship service, a place to continue to house our early childhood center, and a space in which the community could come and gather, community groups like mission teams, to use this facility and be active in our community. We also wanted to update our offices, including adding an elevator in our education wing. And today, that dream has come to reality. That building was built in 2008, and in fact, today, as you look around our spaces, you can see that we are maxed out on Sundays. There's not a single room unused on a Sunday morning in our youth wing, for instance. The Great Hall is used for worship, and we see that worship continuing to grow. The elevator obviously gets regular use for people who need it. And the lobby hosts our food pantry and other activities. It is a wonderful welcoming space for people. But this vision that was had so long ago, that was created so long ago, came with a price tag. The church initially raised about half the cost of the building in the early 2000s. But we've been paying on that debt ever since. We still owe $1.15 million. Our current loan payment is such that we pay $12,000 a month, with $8,600 of that going to interest alone. Just imagine what the church could do with $144,000 annually. Imagine the ministries that could be blessed, the ministry that could be created, the people that could be blessed because that money is released into our community. We are held back, like a rocket ship held down by gravity, from realizing our potential. In a similar way, this campaign provides a unique opportunity for us to unleash our discipleship. Many of us are wanting and waiting to be released to our fullest potential as disciples, yet fear, anxiety, self-doubt, feelings of insignificance, grief, sin, and other burdens may be preventing us from realizing the fullest potential we have as disciples of Jesus Christ. Throughout this study, our hope is that each of us wrestles with our own discipleship, and we take time to examine where we are on the journey. In thinking about this question that was posed just before our video, does God need disciples? The short answer is no. God doesn't need any of us to accomplish God's will. Rather, we are pursued by God for our own sake. God doesn't need us. Rather, God knows that we need a life of discipleship. In a life of following Jesus, we discover what it truly means to be human and our reason for existing. I recently came across a quote from Pope Francis in the Catholic Church. He said, "Do not be afraid of holiness. Following Jesus will take away none of your energy, vitality, or joy. On the contrary, you will become what the Father had in mind when God created you." Let's reinsert the word discipleship in this sentence. Do not be afraid of discipleship. Following Jesus will take away none of your energy, vitality, or joy. On the contrary, you will become what the Father had in mind when God created you. Discipleship gives us a sense of purpose in the world. This is why God calls disciples. It's not for God's sake, but for our sake. Have you ever been on a mission trip and come back and thought, that was the best thing that I have ever done? Or you've thought you've received more than what you gave? While the work may have been hard and it was maybe hard to find sleep because you were sleeping on a gym floor, you came back realizing all that work was worth it. Maybe you felt a sense of accomplishment after building a ramp or hearing the story of those who you were helping. Maybe you gained a better understanding of issues like poverty or met a new friend in the process. Maybe you saw the beauty of God at work. As a teenager, I went to Costa Rica a couple of times on mission trips. While there, I helped build a new church for a worshiping community. We ran vacation Bible schools. However, in being with the people in the community and being part of their worship, I came back thinking, I think I got more than I gave. It was as if in doing the work of God, I was discovering the beauty of God's life in the world. I needed it. Today, I still get that feeling when I preach or when I'm in Bible study with you. I get this sense of abundance, this sense of experiencing life. John Wesley once remarked, "Holiness and happiness go hand in hand." In other words, as we do the work of God, we gain a sense of joy as if we were meant to do this. All to say, God doesn't need us for the work. God can accomplish whatever God so desires, but rather God knows that we need it. In being disciples of Jesus Christ, we discover what we have been created to do and to be. As you go through this study, our prayer is that each of us discovers or rediscovers the joy of being a disciple of Jesus Christ.